Easter.
You know, it's been a very short week. We started it on Tuesday.
Oh, yes.
But it still felt like 2 weeks.
I know.
There was so much to handle this week.
Yes.
In terms of politics, in terms of what's happening to this country, the doctor strike, fake fertilizer, all this.
Schools closing.
And so much more. We'll be discussing some of these things. Of course, today being a Friday, from the youth perspective, you don't want to miss that conversation, and you can be part of it as well through our social media pages. But before that, the big headlines this morning. And yes, bizarre spending of taxpayers' cash. That's a big headline on the Daily Nation this Friday. Very interesting. They bought a watch for 750,000 bob for State House. It's actually expensive than a seat for the governor of Kirinyaga, which cost 648 million shillings.
Wow.
But umbrellas cost 3 million bob. I'm telling you, sometimes you feel like you're living in a live comedy show here in Kenya.
Have they included the curtains?
They did not mention the curtains here. But yes, that's the Daily Nation this morning. Do we have other headlines?
On the Standard, young leaders fight to eclipse old guard. And well, this is an interesting one, even as you're going to be interacting with...
Getting the youth perspective on the same.
Yes. On to another paper.
On the People Daily, top officials face arrest over fertilizer. And that probe continues, and Parliament will be looking into that.
On the Star, counties ill-prepared for disaster response. That's according to a report. They say it is sitting ducks for matters famine, fires and outbreaks.
Ruto ampanga Raila. Yes, the president is on a tour of Ghana and the Guinea-Bissau, and is doing this as part of campaigns for Raila's AUC chairperson's bid. On to the next, Business Daily, 75 billion cash shillings tax stalls and M-Pesa split from Safaricom. I'll be giving you finer details on that, and that's our cue to Vuka Boda. It's Vuka Boda, tuanzie kule Uganda. Daily Monitor, government seeks views to regulate churches. Interesting conversation there, if at all they're going to do that. But it will be interesting to see what Ugandans think about this headline. Can churches actually be regulated? There was that conversation in Kenya, didn't go anywhere. Still in Uganda, the new vision
lifts on health staff recruitment. Ministry to fill over 700 vacancies, and it seems as if we might be reading from the same script.
Matters Health.
Tuvuke
boda tuende Bongo. Samia asema wananchi wanaitaka katiba. Wanataka katiba. I'm not so sure if that's a full headline. Yes, wananchi wanaitaka katiba. Yes. So they're talking about a new constitution in Tanzania. Can you imagine writing that whole document in Swahili? If we cannot even understand their headlines, will you understand their constitution in Swahili?
Mama pale usema kipengee cha 12.
Because if they do it in English, no one will understand, and they'll just be breaking the law and being ignorant.
Into matters banks, and they say the Bank of Tanzania hikes central bank rate to mop up excess liquidity. Matters, they haven't really put on matters transport as their norm, but yeah, that's what to expect on that. And those are the headlines on the dailies. Allow me to also take a look at the weather for you, what to expect in different parts of the country. Definitely start with Nairobi and see how it is. The thing, it is 80 degrees Celsius. It's actually drizzling coming into this particular area. So it is 18 degrees Celsius, precipitation of about 80%, and this really means that it's going to be raining quite the huge chunk of the day. And definitely that's nimefinya kidogo ikapotea. They have it. So temperatures as high as, for today, it's as high as 24. I remember there are days that, I think it was like 2 weeks ago, Fred, we used to have temperatures of about 30 and even 32. So 24 was as if probably the lowest. Today, 24 degrees is the highest that you'd get.
So it's going to be a cool weekend.
Oh, yes.
Oh, yes.
Leo, hii weekend
that way.
No dust.
Have a cool weekend. Not a hot one.
There's no sing dust.
There's no dust this weekend.
There's no dust this weekend.
You saw too much dust last week. So yeah, let people recover.
Itakuwa tu matope na matope na matope. From Nairobi, let me take you to your hometown in Nakuru and see how things might be looking like today. And they say 16 degrees Celsius, so it's 2 degrees Celsius colder than it is in Nairobi. Some chances of kajua kidogo, getting into some hot temperatures into the morning, just at 11 a.m. After that, do expect some light showers. And even into the night, some more pouring of the same. That's just how the weather is looking like for you this morning.
What about the traffic?
The traffic, let me see. I was waiting for it to, oh, definitely, there you have it. Just to take a look at some of the roads. So this one here, just after, around the Westlands area, looks quite red. And well, it's a quite long strip, so that means there might be something happening around that area.
That's Chiromo area there.
I'm trying to search Uhuru Highway because that's one place that I know definitely there might be a whole other traffic snarl-up.
They had to reopen that section of the
Yes.
Uhuru Highway from the museum interchange towards University Way roundabout.
Yes.
That has really caused the traffic, incessant traffic jams across the entire city. One section of the road in one part of the city is even causing traffic on Mombasa Road.
The high major roads to take a look at in case, so this is Thika Road. Let me just zoom it in. And just before you hit the Equivalent, just after Safari Park heading into CBD, just before you actually hit Muthaiga North, there seems to be a slight traffic snarl-up and just traffic building up as the road users and the drivers are just trying to ensure that they are on the road even as the rains continue, just to ensure everything iko sawa sawa. Other roads, so this is the Limuru Road as well. Actually, no, this is Kiambu Road. I think things are looking quite well. And well, yeah, that's basically what to report on matters traffic.
All right. So as we wait for the weekend crew to hit the studios in a short while, probably we could delve into the newspapers and take a look at the headlines in depth. Yes, and the Standard today bears a kind of headline we'd want to look at on a day like this, especially as we anticipate the youth perspective on the state of the nation. Young leaders fight to eclipse old guard. That's a big headline on the front page of the Standard. A crop of new leaders is threatening to overthrow the old order. The young and restless politicians are becoming louder and more voluble, organizing themselves in an attempt to cement their positions and upstage rivals. But how far can they go? The story is extensively covered on pages 10 and 11 of the Standard. And they even talk about Governor Natembeya being one of those, and you're wondering, okay, just how young is Governor Natembeya? I know there's that caucus by these young parliamentarians led by Babu Owino, who have even called for the impeachment of the health CS, and alongside the MP for Githunguri, Wamushomba, and others. And well, you can see it's a formation that is moving towards young leaders.
Team kusikiza ground.
Yes, wanasema wanasikiza ground huko. Others are people like Mbakasi MP, Mark Mwenje, Saboti MP Caleb Amisi, Busia Woman Rep Catherine Omanyo, Starehe MP Amos Mwago, Mwingi West MP Charles Nguna. And yes, they put Natembeya, he of the Tawe revolution in Western Kenya. In the
I think he is still tembering to old age. Yes.
Yet the question we've been asking is, are young people aware that they should be getting involved in this political party politics right now? Now that UDA and ODM are also engaging in grassroots elections. And this is probably that kind of conversation we want to have today. So do stand by for that.
Also, I mean, where do you really cap the young bracket at.
What is the definition of youth in Kenya?
Yes.
You keep adjusting. If you're good looking, you're still young. Who said that? You could be in your 90s and you're still a looker. But
do you suggest that you're probably also young?
Are you saying I'm good looking?
Did
you just say that? On the front page of the Standard, away from matters young leaders, the other story given prominence: doctors strike, private hospitals next target. Wow. So yes, public hospitals have been affected to a huge extent, and now doctors want to extend their strike to affect also private hospitals. On the fertilizer scandal, which also features on the front page of the Standard, MPs have summoned Linturi, the CS for Agriculture, and it will be interesting to see what he has to say on record. He has been denying, actually he's on record having said that hiyo maneno ya fake fertilizer pia ni fake, hakuna mambo kama hiyo. So acha tusikia ataambia MPs nini. Also on the front page of the Standard, 75 billion shillings tax stalling M-Pesa split from Safaricom. It will be interesting to see, if at all, because the attempt was to disengage M-Pesa and make it a different entity from the mother company, Safaricom. How that is going? Well, intrigues therein. On the top strip of the Standard, more highlights there. Cleric to Ruto, you are turning Kenyans into paupers. In schools, secondary schools to be recategorized. And this is a very interesting story because there's always that debate on what happens to the CBC cohort that now will be joining high school in the next 1-2 years or so. And yes, they're saying there was that debate, should CBC grade 9 still be domiciled in primary or in secondary schools? And should the themed high schools, what shape will they take? Now, there seems to be a suggestion that schools will be teaching both STEM and humanities together. It's a debate that is so convoluted, but you can read more about it on page 4 of the Standard today. More highlights there. ANC's wars worsen, matters South African politics, party politics, and in sports, Kipchoge in team for Olympics. Now, unfortunately, I do not have the physical copy of the Standard today, so I cannot look at the last page. And my e-paper is not loading fast enough. Because nilikuwa kujua kama wameweka timu ndogo ndogo.
What are you trying to say? And luckily that will probably now just come in the reporting of tomorrow.
The back page of the Standard, this is page 40, it's more about Kenyan athletics. Defending champions Kipchoge and Jepchirchir picked for Paris show. So it's a matters athletics in Kenya. But it would be very unfair for me to move on to any other paper before mentioning what happened yesterday night.
Moving on to People Daily.
Some two small teams met, and fortunately or unfortunately,
we don't really have to talk about this.
There were cries, agony, and lack of sleep. If you look at Nyaringita right now, he hasn't slept much, simply because Chelsea.
That's why I've worn my glasses.
Walipita juu ya ile timu ingine ndogo ndogo. How does it feel?
Leo sijui kama naweza panda pikipiki because watu wa Pikipiki FC, and my director, by the way, our director Nick is a huge Chelsea fan.
Yes.
So
yes. And if you come across any Manchester United fan today,
I need hugs.
Yes.
I think I'll ask the weekend crew.
So it's the weekend cruise. Yeah. Probably they lift up your spirits.
Oh yes. They'll just asking Bansi and Gashambi free hugs as a Man U fan.
Okay.
Oh yes. But before that, before I get free hugs, let's see on People Daily. So People Daily has gone with a very different kind of story from other papers. Ruto's men and women failing Kenyans, saying matters governance. Queries raised on why the head of state has been sitting on his arms as cabinet secretaries agonize citizens. We have about 6 of them. So Health CS Susan Akumicha, Energy CS Davis Chirchir, Transport Kipchumba Murkomen, Interior CS Professor Kithure Kindiki, Agriculture CS Mithika Linturi, and finally Education CS Ezekiel Machogo. That is on page 5. However, the big story is on matters the fake fertilizer, and they say top officials face arrest over fertilizer. So detectives set to question a principal secretary and a parastatal chiefs over distribution of fake farm input ahead of planting season. It is on page 4. Let me take you to the left scroll. Mangi's job hangs on 2 billion cash shillings payment query. And finally, the top scroll, the highlights there. More pain as specialist doctors join raging strike. And the specialist doctors say that they're beginning the strike on Monday. So this really shows that the cracks in the health crisis are just getting deeper and deeper as weeks progress, because you've realized a whole trend of nearing to the end of a week, a whole other faction of a union in the health sector decides to, says we're joining in the strike. So every week there's a new one. So right now there are a couple of them. And so next week, getting into the 4th week, a whole month later, there will be quite a number of the medics into this. And finally, why poetry is a powerful medium in changing world. And that is the People Daily for you in a nutshell.
Let's focus now on the Daily Nation. And it has a very bizarre headline that starts with the word bizarre. Bizarre spending of taxpayers' cash. And they say institutions putting Kenya's money in fine dining, expensive furniture and appliances. And they've listed just about 6 of them there on the front page. Key among them, or rather the biggest, is State House buying or paying 750,000 shillings for the supply of a digital watch. And they've even listed the name of the contractor there. In Kirinyaga County, they bought the governor's office chair for about 648,000 shillings.
Shiloki Enterprise Limited.
Hiyo kitu ukikalia unasikia uzuri.
Oh yes.
But even more interesting, other things are like at Kefes. They bought 2 smart TVs, branded visitors book, and day planner for the managing director's office at 438,000 bob.
Wow.
Now hear this. This is even more interesting. State House paid 3 million shillings for heavy-duty branded umbrellas.
Heavy duty.
Hiyo by the way ukijifunika nayo hivi inazima mvua.
Oh yes.
Iko na lights huku ndani. Na nakupatia juice.
It even tells you the accurate precipitation.
Yes.
And humidity.
Hivi.
Oh yes.
Inakwambia mvua itaisha saa ngapi.
Inakwambia yes.
Yes.
Wow.
Kenya Ports Authority paid 4,984,000, just about 5 million bob.
Now this one is interesting
for replacing carpets in the board chairpersons and managing directors' offices. 5 million shillings. Wow. Yo carpet nayo ukilala hapo hata uamuki.
You is kanyagia story.
Yo is kanyagia story. Ukanyaga unapotea. And in Homa Bay, they paid more than 500,000 bob to hire chase cars for the governor's motorcade for 1 month. Why not just buy the car?
Did they actually chase anyone with it?
They're chased. The governor is usually the one that follows it.
Too.
Then, they say, even a State House issued a directive last week barring ministries and agencies from procuring promotional items such as calendars, diaries, and umbrellas in the latest purge on non-essential spending. This investigation by the Nation can reveal how officials in both the national and county governments are splurging on non-essential items. You can read more on that on pages 4 and 5 of the Daily Nation. The other story given prominence on the front page is about the truthful man and how he's cutting a new political image with frequent meetings with Mount Kenya political leaders and a move to mend fences with the Kenyatta family. They're talking about the Deputy President, Rigathi Gachagua, and the story is on page 10 of the Daily Nation.
He'll be in Nyeri today, just presiding over the Nyeri, one of the universities there, of the graduation ceremony. So again, this might be a whole forefront for him to just say some political statements there. Okay. Yes.
More highlights on the front page. Detectives bust child trafficking syndicate. That's in Eldoret. In Nairobi, they talk about chaos. The state of Sakaja's Nairobi city yesterday gave a scorecard before the assembly. And on vetting integrity issues, Dog 3 ambassador nominees, that's former Kisii Deputy Governor Joash Maangi, who said he's currently, what do you call it? He gave his wealth as 2 billion shillings. Yes. And you wonder. The others are David Kiplangat Kirich and Ekitela Erastus Lokale. But do you know how much 2 billion shillings is? That's 1 million shillings. times 2,000.
Wow.
A million shillings, 1, 2, 3, 4. 2,000 times. That's 2 billion shillings. Okay. Let that sink in. That's a Daily Nation today.
Right. Let me take a look at the Star, and is focusing on matters devolution and saying, so according to a report, counties are ill-prepared for disasters that may come its way or their way. So units vulnerable in the event of flooding, families, diseases, outbreaks, or even fires, more on pages 4 and 5. And also say many underfund emergency kitty and they divert funds. A couple of highlights on the left scroll. It'll be a gloomy, rain-soaked weekend, just as we were saying. According to the weatherman, nearly all of Kenya will be soaked in heavy rains this weekend. The regional weatherman said the heavy rains will stretch from Turkana to Tanzania border. The GOtv Climate Prediction and Application Center based in Nairobi warned Kenyans the rains could lead to flooding. So it's one of those weekends that it's a weather for two. And if you have not prepared yourself adequately, you might be...
Enda tu GMO, I just thought
Umesema maneno ya weather for two.
Hiyo story ni bingi.
Wacha our weekend crew watatuambia if weather for two is really valid right now with this economy. Anyway, matters health crisis. KNH consultants joined the doctors' nationwide strike. And they say specialist doctors in public hospitals have joined the 3-week-old strike by their junior colleagues, at least 100 of them. Mostly the KNH say they will not report to work from Friday, which is today. So the KMPD has closely followed the successful 2017 script when doctors went on strike for 3 months. And finally, suspect in 3.9 million cash shillings Eastleigh heist arrested. And the photo of the day for this paper, go forth and pursue the mountain. And the elders there, with Wiper Post Kalonzo Musyoka being blessed by Kikuyu Council of Elders in Rwaka yesterday. Really having and following the same script, rather similar script that President William Ruto, the then Deputy President, that he was undertaking, just touring different parts of the country. And meeting with some of these leaders.
All right.
That is the front page of the Star.
And just before we usher in the weekend crew, let's take a look at the cartoons now. And we start off with the cartoon on the Daily Nation, that's page 16. And it focuses on matters road safety. And you have a cop there looking into the inside of a motor vehicle and having a chat with the driver, who's holding a bottle, and his head is actually a skull, a skeleton skull. He's holding a beer bottle and handing him a currency note. And the policeman is saying, proceed. And the back of his coat is branded road safety. Just the irony of having police and roadblocks just to clear people to their deaths. That's a cartoon on the Daily Nation today. The Standard today doesn't have a cartoon. They just have a picture of empty wards at the Kenyatta National Hospital. It's a very powerful picture, and I think this is better even than a cartoon sometimes. A photo can tell a lot of stories. With the ongoing strike and the Kenya's premier referral hospital with empty beds, doesn't mean that Kenyans are not ill, or not fighting different ailments, but that's a situation. Empty KNH wards, that's what is given prominence on the space that's usually occupied by the cartoon on the Standard today.
On People Daily and the Star focusing on the health crisis as well. We'll start with the People Daily on page 10 of this paper. There's a huge microscope there, and the Kobon Monanchi thinking our wealth sector, but the commentator says this is gross, a country in the ICU. So the microscope is just showing what actually is really there, and so the foot showing, well, as much as it's our wealth sector, it's our health sector which is in crisis. On the Star, still on the same theme, caricature of Cabinet Secretary that resembles Cabinet Secretary of Health, Susan Akumicha, sitting on the huge chair, and the probably nurses just ducking under that chair, and there's a gentleman trying to, this is actually
that young,
yes,
the young leaders you're talking about.
Yes,
the ones calling for her impeachment.
Yes, the very young MP who is really aspiring to be the youngest president.
You know, I think once you get to a point where the cartoonists now get a face for you, I think you've made it. And this is the first time I'm seeing a caricature of the Embakasi East MP.
I actually had to take some seconds to register.
Because we're used to, you could quickly pick out the caricature of the CS for Health.
Yeah.
But, okay. Now they're actually depicting Babu Wino in cartoons. Well, Babu Wino, you've made it. Finally, congratulations for that. Those are the cartoons on the dailies today, and I'd like now to invite the weekend crew. Wakuja tuambie hii weekend inaenda namna gani sasa.
Time to not get my hugs.
Uko tayari?
Lazima kwanza mimi nipate my hugs vizuri.
You said free hugs. I don't like how that sounds.
And then he talked about weather for two. You know, it's only in Nairobi where it rains and people think about weather for two. People are thinking about farming.
Exactly. And high taxes. And wet roads and other things.
The three of you have decided to gang up on me.
Watu wa Manu mnakuanga aje?
Nimeulizia tu hugs. And on behalf of other Manu fans, nikaomba tu kwa moyo mkunjufu.
Umeambiwa ungoje 11 am. Na tukio itakuja, watakusaidia hapo. All right. So, Geshambi, highlights of the week.
Habari yenyu.
Tuko salama sana.
Habari yenyu tena. Wagwan. These are reggae day.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, we're in that spirit.
I feel like we should actually even sing for her.
Oh yeah, that's one of the highlights.
Yes, happy birthday
older this week.
You. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Gashambi. Happy birthday to you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Was that your highlight of the week?
That was actually my highlight. It's crazy. It's crazy how now I'm at that age where, you know, when you're told, now we need you to get married, you say amen. You don't say I'm still children.
Like,
should we ask?
Yes,
should we ask the number?
The age? 26. I think it's all over my social media.
Oh, it's everywhere. By then you give it up so fast.
26.
Okay. So that was your highlight.
That was my highlight. It's interesting. I was going through actually Michelle Obama's memoir, Becoming, and she says, let me just read it because it's interesting. She says, she was explaining why she had to undergo IVF. Got a miscarriage, and then now she opted for IVF. And she said, the biological clock is real. pressure, and a woman's egg production is limited. It's crazy that these are things we try to, you know, avoid, and these are conversations we avoid.
Nyinyi wanaume hapo nje, mumesikia hiyo maneno?
Umesikia.
Kuna pressure mahali ya time.
Get ready.
Munachelewa.
Get ready.
So now when you tell me, we wish you kids, we wish you marriage. Amen.
Amen to that.
Yeah, that was definitely my highlights.
Good tidings to you.
Yes.
happy birthday, and you're growing old.
What about you, Bansi?
In case you hadn't noticed.
Now we know. But I don't know. I can't say I had a highlight really, but there's something I saw on TikTok that I found rather interesting. Of course, it's on the entertainment side. So there's this genre of music that's called urban tone, yeah? And it's being done by this by new artists. There are new artists on the block that are doing urban tone music, yeah. And then there's Wakadinali that does hip hop and rap. So in the group Wakadinali, there's an artist called Domani. So Domani does hip hop and drill, but all of a sudden he has done one urban tone song, and everyone on TikTok is saying that these urban tone artists now need to retire because Domani is taking over their whatever they introduced. And I was wondering, how good is this person that once he has joined this certain genre of music, now the other artists are being told to retire, which is true. He's really good, and that's a fact. I was like, imagine getting to that level that you are that good, that when you just, and I'm sure Domani is not planning to like switch from hip hop and drill to just concentrate on urban tone, but ametingisha hiyo industry?
If you ask me, Wakadinali have they've previously done some bits of urban tune as well.
No.
There's some songs that have a sense of some bits of rhythms that were there. I think Hit T-shirt Nya White should be easy stance should be
no, it's not urban tone at all.
No, I'm not saying it's urban tone, but then it has a sense.
You lost me somewhere, but I had a song. I had a song the other day. And I'm wondering what genre this is. A song done by Ndovuku and Furthermore. Do That Day. What genre is that?
That's gengeton.
That's gengeton.
Yeah.
Ninajua hizo vitu.
I don't even know what that is.
Yeah? You've not even heard about it.
I've not heard it.
I'm with it.
Yeah,
I'm with it. I tell
he's
you.
golden, not handsome.
What are you saying? The one who's behind the news, Mr. Stanley.
You know?
No, I'm a huge fan of it. Tupatane hapa 9am, some reggae edition.
Okay.
I'll sing for you some every nani kama Jackio and everyone. I just love reggae. So
For real?
yeah.
What's your best reggae song?
I think it's hard to pick out. It depends on the mood. Kama ni ya weather for two, iko na
Still insisting on whether.
I know.
Mine is the.
What are you not? What are you not telling us?
Is that your highlight for the week?
Are you newly single? I mean, what's happening?
What are you trying to
That's
tell
his
Kenya?
highlight of the week. Fred, that's a low blow.
my highlight of the week isn't weather for two, but maybe it will be highlight of the weekend.
Oh.
Okay.
Okay.
You see what I did there?
TMI.
But anyway, I think my highlight of the week should be a post that I saw on X. Someone saying how when you're in a public service vehicle and you pay, si lazima, and you're paying via M-Pesa, hii tabia kuonyesha mtu the conductor your phone so that the conductor can take a look at your message. M-Pesa should really have a whole way of, and just have it as an invasion of your privacy and all that.
And ile balance yako pale.
Yes.
00 fuliza.
And this really ties, because I had seen some weeks ago a TikTok video of a lady just warning and cautioning Kenyans that, let's say if you're plying Thika Road, some of these conductors might use some thugs. So
If
you see,
your
yes,
your M-Pesa partner.
yes. So they'll probably see Amelipa, and then there's some quite a number of thousands there, and they handpick you and they say, or rather they spot you. So kishashuka, they tell the guys, ujama amevaa hii suti ya hivi na hivi.
Makes sense.
They have about 5,000 in the M-Pesa, umfuate. So again, it really, I feel like it's a conversation that we really need to have.
Yeah.
As a conductor, tembea na simu yako. Or that just kafon, ikiingia, confirm.
That utajuaje ni jina nani?
So unamuuliza jina
yako ni nani?
Yes. Ndio nitaangalia.
Okay. It's even tougher. Yes. They should just come up with a whole system.
Or probably, yes.
Yeah, just tap and it deducts.
The whole Rwandan way.
So that I don't even need to ask you your name. Or once I tap on your phone, the money is picked. Yeah. You're left typing your PIN, and I know at least the money is on the gadget. That's it. Technology bana. Maneno.
Oh yes.
2020.
Anyway.
Or use cash. Ushaipatia makanga tao. Akwambia ngojea. Ile wasiwasi unakwanga nayo the whole trip.
Uko karibu kushuka, jamaa hata hayuko. Ndio ameshuka huko anaitisha watu.
Ama ako pale amehang kwa mlango. Ako tu hivi.
With your dozen bob
lose your life with those.
Alafu gongo na gari. Okay. Well, my highlight for the week was not that eventful, but it's something I do every day, just interviewing guys. And this week I got to interview the Senate Majority Leader at his office. And it was nice just to go back to Parliament after a long time and just see the changes there. And to meet him as the Senate Majority Leader, because I last interviewed him as an MP, and as an MP, I think. So, yeah, it was nice. That's my highlight.
Okay.
How
when is the interview?
It should be, actually I wasn't supposed to say that. But I have, so yes, do stand by for that. Coming soon on your screen right here on TV 47.
Oh yes, oh yes. So Sawa, what are we planning on as much as metuambia some reggae edition coming up?
Yes,
what do we expect?
What should we look forward to?
We're definitely waiting on Ibu Badman. Yeah, he's the reggae DJ today. He's a hype man. So a lot is lined up for you guys back at home. And of course, the trends of the week, because the weekend was looking kind of crazy with Davido and Yalevi in town. Ooh. A lot happened, guys. You were not there. I was there. So don't worry. I got you. I got you with all the tea that happened during
you maana Monday sauti ilikuwa
hata sahi bado energy level.
We're still struggling, but if there's anything that concert did to me, it definitely made me love Davido even more. Okay. Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Right.
Looking forward to that. Yeah. And of course, you can be part of all these conversations online through our social media pages. Of course, we start with the TV47 social media. That's at TV47 News on X, TV47 Kenya on Facebook, at Freddy Ndimuli on X.
And _.
At Miss_Kimuyu.
And Gashambi Nderishu.
All right. Time now for a break. We'll be back with a lot more right here on Morning Cafe. The youth perspective coming up. Victor Odhiambo, Joe Kalende, Susan Wanjiru, political commentators and analysts. All right, and I'm told I'm rushing things, but yes, I'm just introducing my guests. We'll go back to that. Susan Wanjiru is a political analyst, Victor Odhiambo, governance expert, and Joe Kalende, an advocate of the High Court and political strategist. Do stand by for that. But before we even take a break, naambiwa kuna keki inafaa kupeana.
Kuna keki. Kata keki tukule sasa.
Ya kukata. Relax.
Yeah, our viewer.
You're on a roll today. Yeah. So Valentine Cake House and TV47 Morning Cafe is giving out a cake to you, our dear viewer. We will tell you what to do in order to get that cake.
And not just a cake, we're also giving you a chance to go to Valentine Cake House. If you love pastries, if you love baking, then they have got you. They're going to be training you for a whole week for absolutely free. So stay tuned. We're going to be asking you the question of today, and of course, utachangia pale kwa mitandao ya kijamii, and you could get a chance to win a 1 kg worth of cake courtesy of Valentine's Cake House.
Mtandao wa kijamii unprovoked.
I tell you.
Giving Luya.
It's giving BN.
And that's the weekend crew, and that's our cue for the weekend. That's how we kick off this weekend, yeah?
Am I allowed to participate?
No.
For the weekend?
No.
For the...
No.
In case weather for two.
You won't win, but you can participate.
We've said no.
Stick to free hugs. I might give you a free hug behind this.
Okay, Bas, now your weekend is done. That's a weekend cue for you. You're watching Morning Cafe. Let's take a break now.
A win is a win.
Na safari hii katika Mfahamu Kiongozi tutakuletea viongozi aina mbalimbali.
Nikuwe na Nisani kama 10 na pia nikuwe menua minibus. Minibus niko niwa.
Kushinda unaangalia simu ya mzee. Soma Biblia ama ingia kwa washroom ujisugue. Mpaka nimetoa hivi.
I don't know whether any of my children would want to get into the political field. Sijajua bado.
Kila Alhamisi saa 1:30 kuendelea.
Join us on a journey through the concrete jungles and rising skylines, where every beam, every nail tells a story of progress and vision.
In every aspect of life, you know, you have to look at several dynamics.
From groundbreaking,
Nowadays with the tech, you can check on different websites or you check online and you can see some inspiration. So at least that one would be a direction already. I'll know like what kind of style you're going for.
to finishing touches, witness the dedication of the hard-working teams who bring these ambitious dreams to reality. The Realtor, Tuesdays at 6:30 p.m.
Na safari hii katika Mfahamu Kiongozi tutakuletea viongozi aina mbalimbali.
Nikuwe na nisani kama 10 na pia nikuwe menua minibus. Minibus nikoniwa.
Kushinda unaangalia simu ya mzee, soma Biblia ama ingia kwa washroom ujisugue mpaka nimetoa hivi.
I don't know whether any of my children would want to get into the political field. Sijajua bado.
Kila Alhamisi saa 1:30 kuendelea.
Join us on a journey through the concrete jungles and rising skylines, where every beam, every nail tells a story of progress and vision.
In every aspect of life, you have to look at several dynamics.
From groundbreaking,
Nowadays with the tech, you can check on different websites or you check online and you can see some inspiration. So at least that one would be a direction already. I'll know like what kind of style you're going for.
to finishing touches, witness the dedication of the hard-working teams who bring these ambitious dreams to reality. The Realtor, Tuesdays at 6:30 p.m.
Na safari hii katika Mfahamu Kiongozi tutakuletea viongozi aina mbalimbali.
Winston Churchill.
Morning Cafe on TV47. My name is Freddy Ndimuli, and today is my best day when it comes to discussing the state of the nation. Because Friday we have the youth perspective, and today we have a group of young Kenyans. Let me start on my immediate right, Victor Odhiambo, a governance expert. It's a pleasure to have you on TV47. Karibu sana.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
Next to Victor we have Susan Wanjiru, a political analyst. Karibu sana. And last but definitely not least, and the familiar face on this panel, you've been here before. Joe Halende, an advocate of the High Court and political strategist. Karibuni sana. Now, yes, the most relevant to this discussion, the most relevant highlight is actually in the standard. It talks about young leaders fighting to eclipse the old guard. But before we get to that, because that's our big discussion, there's a very interesting, because I'm just assuming that you all live in Nairobi. And yesterday, Governor Sakaja gave his State of the County address before the the County Assembly of Nairobi. The story is on the back page of the Daily Nation, and it's a description that I want us to look at. The headline reads, "Chaos, the state of Sakaja's Nairobi city." But then the description after that, Johnson Sakaja rode to power on the back of a pledge to transform the most important city in East Africa, but many of Nairobi's residents now think he is all dimples and no plan. And I want us to start from there. And let's start with you, Susan, because yes, the ladies made a lot of hullabaloo about this gentleman's dimples, his looks. Do you agree with this assessment, that is all good looks, dimples and no plan? Or have you seen any change that you could actually credit to the current governor of the city?
Okay, I'm yet to see the changes. Yeah, and especially when we received the rains, I didn't expect what I saw. It was all chaos. I also find Nairobi is still not the city we would really be proud of. So I don't know what the plan is from Sakaja. I still feel that he's talking too much and doing so less.
Do you feel disappointed? Do you feel let down?
Yes.
Even as a young Kenyan?
Yes, I feel that.
Yes, because many people thought, and the argument has always been, that if you elect a younger leader, they're more progressive, they understand the problems that people face, wanaelewa matatu, wanajua. Is that the case, Joe?
Yes, that is the general case that we have. But if we narrow down and go to Sakaja's case, Sakaja is a young leader, a visionary leader, a promising leader, but he's in a place where he doesn't understand. And there's something that Sakaja should pick from his predecessor, Sonko, and the first governor of Nairobi, Dr. Kidero, that if you are a governor of Nairobi, you need to prioritize the key issues and key areas that you need to sort as the governor of Nairobi, who is the first governor of this country, because Nairobi is the capital hub of this country. It's the heartbeat of this country. So he doesn't understand that. Second, he doesn't understand the city hall politics. Mm-hmm. It is out there in City Hall. He's the most unpopular guy. If elections are to be held today, Sakaja will go straight home. Mm-hmm. So those are the two things that Sakaja has failed. But one that as young people today we need to discuss is that Sakaja has come out as a young person who has been given a platform, and he's good in PR, he's good in being out there, the way it's being put there is all dimples. That is Sakaja. But now the critical element of a leader is to make decision, hardest decision. Sakaja has failed on that.
Victor, are we being too unfair to this governor? Because many have argued that this county is perhaps the most difficult to run. Even the previous governor was at some point unable to do so, and it called for the intervention of the national government, with the NMS being brought in. Probably if Sakaja was a governor in a different county, he would perform better. Do you think that?
We are being too unfair to Sakaja. Let us just be honest. I mean, Sakaja has only been here for like a year. Nairobi is tough, and everybody knows that. And I can tell you this for sure, that there's every young person who comes from different counties. I think Nairobi has everybody from different parts of this country. So every young person who feels like they can do something with their life, they come to Nairobi. That is Sakaja's burden, and that has been the burden of Nairobi. Now, when these people come from those other locations that they come from, let's say they come from Kirinyaga, they come from Kisumu, they come from Western, they come from different parts of this country. When they come to Nairobi, even the levels of insecurity also rises. You know, housing becomes a problem because these guys are too many. Mm-hmm. It's not like Siaya, it's not like Kirinyaga. So Nairobi is different. And what I think Sakaja may have been failing is not tough enough. Just like my friend has said, city hall politics. You have to be tough. You have to be straightforward. When a governor comes to this, when a governor has been elected and they'll be given an opportunity to serve, one thing they should do is they should look at the politics of 10 years. Look at it from 5 years perspective. I mean, my job is to come here and do the job, regardless of whether you're happy or not. I was elected to do the job for 5 years. That is what I'm supposed to do. So if you come up with tough policies, economic policies, you come up with that in terms of security, risk, mitigation of risk, and everything like that in Nairobi particularly, you're going to be re-elected. But these people come to power and then they just try to be popular. That is the problem. You try to be popular so that the hawkers can elect you, so that people can see you're a good person.
Is that a common problem, especially to the young politicians, that being popular is key? You have to be seen on TikTok, on Instagram. You have to be to look the part. Are they more preoccupied with that?
They are more preoccupied with that, and that is where the problem is. They're not doing what they're supposed to be doing. And how do we define young leaders anyway? Who is a young leader? Mm-hmm. Because if you look at what the nation, what the papers are saying is that young leaders are trying to overthrow all leaders. But who is an old leader? A person who has policies, a person who is doing their job, a person who is elected to be able to represent the country well, apart from a young leader who is supposed to be on TikTok every single day, traveling to different other places, showing photos, I don't know, I'm in a club in Mombasa or where, or different other locations, but they're not doing what they're supposed to be doing. Mm-hmm. So we need to define who is a young leader. For me, a young leader is a person who has policies, a person who come up with economic policies. If you're elected to be in parliament, be in parliament and do what you're supposed to be doing in parliament. Okay. Yes.
And Susan, ambition is good. And of course, a young leader like Sakaja might be seeing ahead and seeing beyond even county politics. And probably he's angling for that. But ambition could also come with its own risks, that if you fail, that will be the end of you. Do you think that probably he bit a bit too much than he could chew? That probably the governorship of Nairobi is not for younger leaders?
Okay, Fred, when you listen to Sakaja talking, his demeanor and everything, he looks like someone who knows what exactly Nairobi needs. He looks like someone who really believes in leadership of young people and a policy maker. But now when it comes again to implementing whatever it's needed, then we are having a challenge. Mm-hmm. Again, like we've said, understanding the politics and trying to gel in it, we also have the financial masses on the issue of young people. We want to amass wealth because politically, for you to command an area, and like we are saying, Sakaja is looking forward, or he's looking to future politics. He's not settling on governorship. Mm-hmm. He's looking maybe to be the president or something. So he also needs to amass wealth. So when he makes all these things, you find that what matters to Nairobi people then comes the last thing.
Yeah, and my feeling is that probably Nairobi is a worst place for you to use a stepping stone for a bigger seat. We've seen younger governors, example in Nandi, where the governor is on his second term, I think, and is doing pretty well. Is that what we are saying to younger leaders, that, if you're choosing where to run for office, be very careful?
Yes, before I answer your question, I wanted to correct my brother Victor. We are not being unfair to Sakaja. We are just being
realistic.
Realistic. We are trying, actually we are trying to help our good brother Sakaja. I cannot sit here and pretend to know more politics than Sakaja. Mm-hmm. Sakaja knows the politics of this country. Sakaja knows the politics of Nairobi. But the question that my sister here, Susan, has posed is, Sakaja can be all that good. But when it matters, as a leader, making critical decisions, prioritizing areas that you want to perform, going down to the ground and insisting to the people behind you that this area and this area and this area need to be sorted in Nairobi. Because Sakaja needs to do a quick public participation, a quick thorough, and realize critical areas that Nairobi people want services from his government. And he will be free. He will be all that good. And there's this thing about, let me go back to your question. You have asked if Nairobi is the hardest area for you to jumpstart your politics. Nairobi is the best place that you can position yourself and propel yourself in the politics of this country. Look at what Governor Natembeya is doing today in a
rural county.
Not a rural county, in a remote county where Kenyans' eyes are not there, but he has made Kenyans to go and look for what he's doing. Mm-hmm. But in Nairobi, if you just do one thing, if you sort out the traffic mess, or if you clean up the garbage issue, the whole country will know, without you struggling the way Natembeya is struggling. Natembeya is struggling to fix the county and is trying to fix the politics of Bukusu and the large Western. So he is doing double work as compared to if Natembeya could have been the governor of Nairobi. So Nairobi is the best place, because if you look at the hierarchy of this country, the presidency, the presidency, which include currently the president, the deputy president, and the prime cabinet secretary, those are the three critical places that if you are there, we know that you have a political move. After that is either you are a speaker or you are a parliamentarian, then the governor of Nairobi. After the presidency, to me, I think is the governor of Nairobi. Okay. Because if you place yourself as the governor of Nairobi and you deliver for the people of Nairobi, if you come to Kenyans and ask them now, I think I'm the most suitable candidate to be the president, Kenyans will listen to you.
And of course, it's only been a year and a half since he took over. He still has 3.5 more years to go, at least for the first term of his tenure as a governor for Nairobi. So, Victor, what do you think he should do different? If you were to advise Sakaja, what do you think he should do different going forward?
Sakaja should do different, extremely different, because you see, people's opinion also matter, because you are the people who normally gives insights of what is happening in the county, and that really defines how you're going to grow politically. But just like my friend has said here, Nairobi being tough and a place whereby you can actually grow and become someone. I look at it in terms of diplomacy. I don't look at it because most of our leaders don't see it that way. We go into leadership position to loot, just like you said, and you get in there, and the first thing you think about is how are you going to amass wealth? And that is where the problem is. Whenever you go to a position and you first think about wealth, and because you are anticipating that this wealth is going to give you an opportunity to scale up in terms of to scale up politically, you're going to mess already, because you're going to use the resources that are supposed to be serving Kenyans for your own benefit, so that you can be able to scale politically. You're looking at a position whereby you want to be the president, so you have to steal for you to be able to run your campaigns. But that should not be the case. You are supposed to do your job so that you are given an opportunity. In fact, Kenyans need to give you an opportunity to lead them. You are not supposed to force us because you have money. And that is where the problem is. So Sakaja should automatically change his way of doing things. Kenyans are talking. Remember, Nairobi has not been served by a governor for more than 2 terms. It's only been one. Sakaja is the 3rd one. And Sakaja may also go 1 term because of the people's opinion, which really matters. You know, it really, really matters. So I think in terms of diplomacy, in terms of running the county, in terms of being popular, just like my friend has said, he needs to popularize himself inside City Hall first, because they need to get the politics in order, get his house in order. That is the most important thing. What is so difficult in being tough and getting your house in order? You are the leader. You are the CEO. You run billions of money. Sakaja said yesterday he already secured 100 million from the Korean government for more than 200 million cubic meters of water. In 3 years' time, Nairobi will not have a problem with water again. That is what he said. He said that in his manifesto when he was coming in. We are here to see that happening. Already, as we speak today, Eastlands, you get water once in a week. As we speak today. That is contrary to what Sakaja said. Why can't he move with one thing and do it, finish it? Most of the governors in all these other counties, they're doing one thing. You do one thing, you finish it up. You can't run everything at the same time. So we need to be serious in terms of how the things that we promised Kenyans, and now we are delivering those things to Kenyans. Okay. Yeah.
One piece of advice for Sakaja?
Yeah, Sakaja, I would tell him to just sit down and look at what he promised Nairobians, because it was a lot. He was so sure, and he looked like someone who knew exactly what he needed to do. But now, after we've elected him, you find now things are going south. So he should go back to his manifesto, look at what really Nairobi people would really want firsthand taken care of. Then I think we'll be back on track, because he's a promising leader. When he's talking, you can tell that he understands Kenya better, so that if he wants a 2nd term, he can have something to tell Kenyans or Nairobians.
If he fails to secure a 2nd term as governor of Nairobi, that could dent his ambitions in politics. What would you advise him?
Sakaja needs to do what Kenyans popularly say, aende nyuma ya tent. He needs to do some soul searching and understand that why he went for that office. Immediately he will realize that he will do the necessary. Let him put his priority right, period. Sakaja will be safe and secure.
Okay. The headline on the back page of the Daily Nation reads, "Chaos, the state of Sakaja's Nairobi city." And they talk about broken promises. The governor has barely met pledges he made during campaigns, including ending harassment of motorists. And the verdict is that Nairobi residents now think he's all dimples and no plan. That's the verdict on the back page of the Daily Nation. Now, a headline that is closely linked with this is the one on the front page of the Standard. It talks about young leaders fighting to eclipse the old guard. And now that it's a youth perspective, I think this is the most relevant. And yes, Sakaja, also a relatively young leader, maybe not fitting in that definition of the youth, but relatively young leader as well. So a crop of new leaders is threatening to overthrow the old order. The young and restless politicians are becoming louder and more voluble. organizing themselves in an attempt to cement their positions and upstage rivals. But how far can they go? Now, the story is extensively covered on pages 10 and 11. And interestingly, they've listed Governor Natembeya as among the young leaders who are doing things. And because on one hand, on page 10, they've listed a number of parliamentarians who have come together in that caucus. They're calling themselves Team Ground, the political formation calling itself Team Ground, which is seeking to push a narrative of generational change through political rallies, protests, and Meet the People tours. And it includes Githunguri MP Gathoni wa Mushomba, Embakasi East MP Babu Wino, Embakasi West MP Mark Mwenje, Saboti MP Caleb Amisi, Busia Woman Rep Catherine Omanyo, Mwingi West MP Charles Nguna, and Starehe MP Amos Mwago. And one may wonder, are they getting it right? Is it coming a bit too late in the day? Or is this the best window? Now that you're seeing people like Raila Odinga going for bigger seats, we're seeing parties like UDA and ODM trying to carry out grassroots elections. Whether or not they'll be successful, that's another issue. But is this the best time for this reawakening of the youth? Because we've really on this panel criticized the approach the youth have taken. Victor, do you think there's a window of opportunity for the youth to actually?
We've been pregnant for a long time.
Yeah.
It's about time. It's about time we take over. On a normal circumstance, when you talk about youth's understanding, when they say we are Team Ground, it means that we understand the language of the people. We understand what young people really want. We have interaction with the young people on the ground, and we try as much as to deliver to the young people. Most of these leaders, I can give you, for example, someone like Babu. Babu has worked. It's not something that I'm going to say that he hasn't done. I've been to Embakasi most of the times. I've spoken to young people from Embakasi. Babu has worked. If you look at most of the roles that have been done, I know it's not probably his own responsibility. Some of these things are national government responsibility, but he is the representative of the people. So if things are being done in his constituency, it means that he's really pushing and he's coming up with the ways that he can be able to help his people. So young people are in touch with the ground, and I think it's about time. I'm not saying that the old people need to go, but there are certain critical positions that we can give to old people. Just in terms of probably advice. I mean, you cannot just wish away and say that all people need to go so that young people can take over. There are responsibility that all people can actually take. But who are these old people you're talking about? Are you talking about people that we've recycled for years and years and years, and just because we trust them? Are we talking about people who are old but they're still young at heart? They can be able to come up with policies for the young people, because the general population is actually young people. We have 52 million Kenyans. We cannot be recycling leaders all over, but you can give them position of advisory so that they can be able to guide us as young people on how to move forward. So in terms of young people, it's about time we need to take over, but we take over with caution. We take over cautiously so that we can be able to give Kenyans what they really expect to be given. Yeah.
And if we look at even the leaders that we may now consider advanced in age, they were young at some point and probably took part in some agitation that brought us where we are. People like Governor Anyang' Nyong'o, James Orengo, and the rest were young Kenyans and probably even involved in student leadership, just like Babu Wino, who was a student leader. But we see that the crop of current student leaders is not as active in national agitation for any cause. And one may wonder, is that the reason why we are seeing a very delayed reaction from this group of Team Ground? They've been very silent for a very long time. Now we're seeing them trying to show up. What informs this lethargy by younger Kenyans? Let's take time before we actually raise our heads. Susan.
Okay, I think with young people in this country, we've really tried to fight for our positions in maybe elective positions and also in these political parties' positions. But Fred, I tend to think that in politics there is something we tend to ignore maybe, or it is taken on, it's always taken on low tones behind there, which is financial muscle. Like myself, I vied in the last general elections, I vied for MCA in Nakuru County. That's my home. And you would even hear people saying, she's talking nicely, but she doesn't have money. So it's a factor which has delayed young people also to get into these elective positions. You find maybe the way Akina Babu are fighting to join ODM leadership. You find also there is that is needed, apart from you being young, being eloquent, being able to articulate issues and to know what exactly the party needs. There is also that you need to have as a young person. Which is, we are also finding those already elected as young people also struggling to amass wealth so that they can be relevant, they can be heard, and they can be seen doing something. So we still have a challenge for young people to occupy these positions. And also we have this from the people we are calling old, or the people who've been there for so long. They also look down on young people. They would tell you, pea huyu nafasi kwanza, you are still young. So we still have a challenge. Yeah, as much as they are coming up right now, it also begs the question for how long? How long can they sustain these campaigns, and which Kenyans can listen to them?
Okay, but Joe, we're experiencing, or we're going through a period when even political parties are seeing reasonably the possibility of change. For ODM, for example, with the exit of Raila Odinga, with the succession debate and who's going to take over, we're seeing fairly younger leaders, or even people proposing fairly younger leaders to take over, the likes of Edwin Sifuna, the likes of Babu Owino, but there's still the older generation that are still there and saying, sisi bado tuko. But with this window of opportunity presented by the grassroots elections, both for UD and ODM, because this is something that has not happened in a very long time. Actually, more than 10 years, we've not seen any party carrying out grassroots elections. Do you think the youth or younger Kenyans are ready to actually get involved from the ground? Because most young people just want national level politics, and probably that's not the best way to get into this.
I can tell you the young people are ready. The young people are taking over, and it's something that the older generation needs to realize and accept, or actually, as a country, we need to accept. It has happened in Senegal. It is going to happen in Kenya. So it is something that is there. It's a phenomenon that it's there. So it is how, as a country, we are going to guide it. Are we going to allow it to go through its natural cause, or are we going to try and fix it? Because it is out there. Even within the ruling party, it is boiling. Up to an extent, last year, the president had to accept, yes, I know there is an issue, but the young people, mkuje polepole, we are going to mentor you.
Your story ya kujeni polepole. Hapo sasa hapo kwa kujeni polepole.
It is not about kujeni polepole that now we should not demolish the house. We can be within the house.
Yet power is rarely given. It is taken. Now, when you wait for, and that suggestion that kujeni polepole, so you sit back and wait for a time that it will be handed over to you?
Actually, what I was trying to say is that I'm saying that the conversation is already there.
Yes.
And we are going to have that conversation as a country, whether we like it or we don't like it. It's up to the older generation to realize that a new era is there. They need to reposition themselves, because young people this time round, we are not going to sit outside there and wait for you people. We are going to put our issues on the table. We are going to provide the alternative voice, and we are going to rally from the grassroots to be there, because elections are coming in UDA and candidates are there. It's going to be a fair competition between the young and the older generation. In ODM, the same thing is happening. Realignment has already been formed. There's Team Joho with the likes of Babu Owino, Olekina in one side, and there's Oparanya and the old guard within ODM on the other side. So it is there. It is how, as a country, we are going to receive the conversation.
My concern is more about whether the youth, and now when I talk about the youth, it's even below the generally younger leaders, are ready for this position. And in a short while, we'll be looking at, we'll be getting some views from other Kenyans to see how their understanding of this debate on succession is. But Victor, as a young Kenyan, do you think the younger generation, I'm talking about even Gen Zs and even some of the millennials, probably from the 90s, closer towards the year 2000, who were born around that time, And they seem to be very lethargic, very reluctant, very blasé to take part in all these big discussions. They don't want to be bothered. Even at the university level, student leadership and agitation has really changed. Are you saying that these are the same people we expect will take part in these grassroots elections for ODM and UDA? We don't see them being interested or excited about it anyway.
I think the interest left with the Babu group. You see, people like Babu, one funny thing is that these people are ready for this thing. And this thing was passion. I mean, leadership was, in leadership, there's an aspect of passion. There's the professionalism part of it. There are people who do it just because it found them there. I think someone like Sakaja, I want to be fair, and I didn't know who Sakaja was so many years back until he was a nominated member of parliament, then the Senate, and then the government, and then the Ghana today. I can say for a fact that Sakaja was a little bit lucky because he's not like Babu. Babu really fought for this thing. Most young people are coming up today, and I can be sure about that. They're looking at people like Babu because those are the kind of people they're looking into. But are they really ready to take over? Are they really ready? Like, are you ready to be given an opportunity? Are you ready to take over the opportunity? Can you be among the chosen few? You know, most of them think that let's say, for example, student leaders, for them it's all about money also. They feel like if you don't have enough money, you are not able to do something. And people like Babu, it was not about money. It was just about being vocal, be out there, say something, be known, participate, be part of the team, be on the ground, let people have a conversation with you, let people understand you, let people know what you stand in for, let people know what you really want. Generation Z is not interested. The internet is so big. They feel like you can sit down and post something and then you get how we call popularity. So they want to sit down and they don't want to do the bigger part of going out and having a conversation with the people on the ground. They want to do it on WhatsApp. They want to do it on Facebook. They want to do it on Twitter. People are becoming lazier by the day. People are becoming lazier, especially the youth are becoming lazier by the day. How then should
we expect them to take part?
Not for bad reason. I'm not saying lazier for bad reason. I'm just saying people are not giving themselves that priority to go out and interact with people on the ground. We want to do it on our phones, on our laptops. People like Babu and people like most of these, the Hamisis and the Wamushombas, they're out there having interaction with the people on the ground. I'm sure she did. She was out there. Apart from the money aspect, which was a big deal for her, she could have got an opportunity. There was an older person there who had the money and was on the ground. You can have 10 Prados and go out there. She can't do that. But she was vocal enough to be able to be given a chance. We need to give these people a chance.
Joe, you disagree?
I disagree that young people are not interested. The young, there is a misconception about the Gen Z. The Gen Z are not in the era of the eras of Orengos, where they could do the strikes, they could be banned from university for 2 years consecutive. The Gen Zs are this kind of people who want a system that works for them. The Gen Zs want a system that works. If I'm going to do my blog, if I'm going to do my stuff there, let it pay. If I'm a talented person, if I'm doing music, let music put food on the table. Let music put shelter on my head. Those are the Gen Zs. They want a system that works. Now, for politics, there's something that us, the young people who are interested in politics, need to learn from the Orengos of this day. When they used to call them as the three beards sisters, Orengo, Mati, Shikuku, the Paul Muito, the young Turks, they picked something and they rallied behind. And there's a question when you were starting this debate, you asked if the team ground is missing on something. The current system, the 2010 Constitution gives legislator three key functions: legislation, oversight, and representation. So the things that they are supposed to be very strategic for this team ground, they should take opportunity and explain to Kenyans as parliamentarians, what did they agree through the finance bill before it was passed? Did they use the flow of the House to show Kenyans that they can articulate our issues? Did they use the flow of the House to articulate our issues on the House levy? That is what the Orengos of this day, of that day, did. They used the floor of the house,
the space they had,
to muscle Moi era. So there's something that has happened with the last parliament, and I'm seeing it happening with this parliament. Instead of parliamentarians using the floor of the house, they have opted to go to matangas, and it's really messing them up. Because for you to go outside there and organize a rally, my good sister will tell you.
Is it the same thing we are saying for Team Ground, that they failed to use a space in Parliament?
They have failed to use that space, and that space is the critical. Look at William Ruto. If you go to the Kenyan Hansard and look at the debate that he used to have in Parliament, he could articulate issues. Look at Mudavadi. There's a story that is told in 1996. Mudavadi was the most popular person in that Parliament. In fact, people were propping Moi by then to make him a vice president. Because where you are, just use that stick. Don't worry about the money. Don't worry about anything. Just use
the space
what you have
already.
And that's what the only issue that I have with this. Yes, the young people, we are ready. But there's something that is missing.
There's something that's missing.
Yes, we are not grabbing that opportunity, because I can tell you, an opportunity was presented to Babu Wine. Go in that house, argue on behalf of Kenyans why the finance bill is. Kenyans have an issue with the finance bill. Why Kenyans have an issue with all the bills in the health sector. Why Kenyans have an issue with this and this. Then you'll have a platform. Because I can tell you, Ilimuli, to organize maandamano in this town, to bring thousands of people in this town,
we were all saying there's something that's missing. Yes. There's a disconnect between the Kenyan youth and having these discussions. What do you think the problem is?
Okay, from my own experience, Fred, is what I saw on the ground and what maybe we speak and like when we come and have such a sitting and we discuss is I tend to agree with Victor. The generation behind us and the millennials, we are kind of detached with politics. Most of the time, you will be guided by your parents on how to vote when it comes to the day of voting. Number two, they are not sure of what are we looking in a leader. And that's why I will look at Sakaja. I judge him by what he's talking. I won't judge him by what...
And his looks, probably.
And his
looks. Dimples to know.
Yeah. So I tend to think yes, we tend to be ready. There are a few of us here and there who will show that we are ready. But are we really going out there to fight for what we want? I tried to rally young people. Most of them, they don't have voters' cards. They don't have IDs. They're coming to vote when the polling stations are being closed. They're coming past 6. That's when they're coming running and asking you, where are we going to vote from? So we might push the agenda, we might be out there fighting, and also we like handouts. Young people like handouts. You're coming to tell me I vote for you. What will you give?
And Joe said they just wanted the money. Show me the money.
Show me the money.
Whatever I'm doing, show me the money.
Yeah. So unless we show by actions that we are ready to take these positions, and that is when we take part in these conversations, ask tough questions for these young leaders who want to, not just saying, we want young leaders, but what are we doing about it?
Okay, and before I come back to you, gentlemen, let's get to hear what other Kenyans are saying about the general politics of succession, whether in ODM or the UDA party, because that's the current biggest discussion. Let's see that.
Well, thank you very much, Ndimoli, from the studio. And today here in Taita Taveta County, I'm coming live from Voi. And also I'll be engaging residents here in Voi in discussion about the succession politics in ODM party, whereby Raila Amolo Odinga is being fronted by Kenyans at large to go for AUC top seat. And without taking much time, I'll be engaging one Zacchaeus Maganga, who is an expert in constitution and other national issues. And without taking much time, karibu sana kwenye TV 47. Jongea hapa, karibu.
Asante sana ndugu kwa kunialika hapa.
Na pengine moja kwa moja katika mjadala unaoendelea studioni sasa hivi ni kuhusiana na swala nzima la mjadala kuhusu siasa za urithi katika chama cha ODM. Pengine unahisi chama cha ODM kitaenda namna gani? Unahisi pengine siasa hizi zitagawanya chama hiki cha ODM pande mbili ama kutakuwa namna gani?
Nashukuru sana kwamba mojawapo wa vyama vya kisiasa katika Kenya vimejikuta katika hali hii. Ni kwamba inasikitisha kwamba mwaka wa 2007 hapo kama Wakenya tuliunda riwaza ya mwaka 2030 na hiyo riwaza iko na political pillar ambayo ajabu ni kwamba hakuja kuwa na msukumo wa kuitekeleza hiyo political pillar, na ndiposa unaona kwamba kwa mapana vyama vimeendelea kuwa vyama vya watu binafsi, sio wanachama. Kwa hivyo ni haja kubwa kwamba kuona riwaza ya mwaka 2030 inaenda kutukumbusha kwamba inapokamilika miaka 2030 ina haja turudi tuone na kufikiria ni mbinu gani tutatumia kama taifa kutokana na kuweko na mtazamo wa mtu binafsi katika vyama vya kisiasa na kuweka misingi thabiti, kwa sababu ile pile inazungumzia kwamba tutakuwa na ile tunaita people centered, result oriented, accountable democratic system. Na ndiposa ninauliza kama aliyehusika sana katika kufunza katiba ya mwaka 2020 ni wapi tumepotea, kwa sababu vyama vya kisiasa vilianza kufadhiliwa mwaka wa 2013 2014 mpaka kufikia mwaka.
Right, those are just some of the views by most Kenyans on what's happening in ODM with this whole succession debate, and we'll be revisiting those views even as we go along. But back in studio, you wanted to add on to something about what Susan said.
There was something that we were talking about earlier about the university politics. I felt offended a little bit, but I understand. And I can tell you, I've been a student leader, Moi University School of Law. I was the president there. And I can tell you one thing, the reason why the politics within our university has changed, it is because of the Duale bill then. Because the older generation then thought that we university leaders are becoming unbecoming. And they wanted to clog. So they introduced a new guided electoral system within the university, and they brought something to do about electoral college. So at the end of the day, you are not asking the university student for the vote. There are specific people, the class reps are collected somewhere there, then they are told they are the ones who are going to elect as student leader. So at the end of the day, the university politics is not vigorous and robust the way it used to be.
But if we go back to the agitation by mostly university students, even towards a multi-party democracy, because that agitation led to the repealing of a section of the constitution. Are you saying the Duale bill is beyond the students, that they cannot agitate enough for some of these policies to be reversed?
As in, I'm saying the first reason why the university politics has gone the way it is today, it is simply because of the act, or because of the new laws that were enacted then. But now coming to our discussion, and the reason why there is a feeling that the Gen Z are laid back people. Gen Zs are not laid back people. If you want to know that Gen Zs are real, when you are having the debate on finance bill, there's a time something was said that in the finance bill, bloggers and TikTokers are going to be taxed. You remember what transpired that period? Because there was a component that touched Gen Z. Do you know it forced the head of state to have a conversation with the young people at State House? So it is how we are going to craft our messaging. One have said that as young leaders, we need to use what we have in our hand. Like if you are a young parliamentarian, use the floor of the House to articulate issues that will attract the Gen Z to your conversation. Because politics is just like branding. It's about actually politics is about branding and messaging. If you package your message well, look at the last election. It was won on the basis that one side had a message that resonated with the young people, and they were mobilized across the country. Now we cannot come here today and say that young people are laid back, because in the last election, the determining factor was one side had a rallying call, a message that transcended to the young people.
It is a transition from, for the young people from just being recipients of this communication to be actually the ones communicating and running the politics, and hence I'm asking about the grassroots elections, because we're not even talking about national politics. It is an involvement in political parties at that level, at the county level, at the ward level, which the opportunity is now. That's the question I'm asking, and the reluctance by people at that level to take part in this.
And you see, you know, the young people of today, the only problem, and Susan and Victor have highlighted, is that we will articulate our issues on Twitter, on TikTok. Look at what happened in Meru. There was an issue in Meru County. And at the end of the day, if you want to know that young people participate in politics, the young blogger who was killed, he was a young person. Why? Because he was articulating issues. Young people are there.
Are we saying that probably we are misreading the channel that the young people are using?
Kabisa, now that is it.
But when it comes to national politics, probably we have not yet plugged into those channels. So they cannot close themselves in a cocoon and say, this is how we communicate. We do not communicate this other way. Comment on that just before we go on a break. Victor.
Thank you for that, and also thank you for that, because I'm not seeing a conversation whereby it will reach a point that young people will be given a channel to communicate, like now this is the time, you guys, this is your time. There will never be that. I think we as young people, we just need to organize ourselves and realize that for us to be heard, if you're going to use those social media platforms, especially to be able to get these positions, then we need to go out there and have that conversation ourselves, because there's nobody coming. The president and his handlers and his people, they're not going to give us that chance. We have to take that chance. And if given an opportunity, just like you said, when we talk about Generation Z having a conversation on different platforms, it's the same thing that I also said. It doesn't mean that these platforms, they are not going to be heard. That is how they feel heard. That is how they feel like their issues can be articulated. That is how they feel that they resonate with the ground. For them, they're not giving a communication to the older generation. They're giving a communication to people who are their peers also. Yeah.
Hold that thought there. Let's take a quick break now. We'll be back to continue this conversation. You're watching Morning Cafe.
Na safari hii katika Mfahamu Kiongozi tutakuletea viongozi aina mbalimbali.
Nikuwe na Nisani kama 10 na pia nikuwe menua minibus. Minibus nikoniwa.
Kushinda unaangalia simu ya mzee, soma Biblia ama ingia kwa washroom ujisugue mpaka nimetoa hivi.
I don't know whether any of my children would want to get into the political field. Sijajua bado.
Kila Alhamisi saa 1:30 kuendelea.
Join us on a journey through the concrete jungles and rising skylines, where every beam, every nail tells a story of progress and vision.
In every aspect of life, you know, you have to look at several dynamics.
From groundbreaking.
Nowadays with the tech, you can check on different websites or you check online and you can see some inspiration. So at least that one would be a direction already. I'll know like what kind of style you're going for.
To finishing touches, witness the dedication of the hard-working teams who bring these ambitious dreams to reality. The Realtor, Tuesdays at 6:30 p.m.
Na safari hii katika Mfahamu Kiongozi tutakuletea viongozi aina mbalimbali.
Nikuwe na Nisani kama 10 na pia nikuwe menua minibus. Minibus nikoniwa.
Kushinda unaangalia simu ya mzee. Soma Biblia ama ingia kwa washroom ujisugue. Mpaka nimetoa hivi.
I don't know whether any of my children would want to get into the political field. Sijajua bado.
Kila Alhamisi saa 1:30 kuendelea.
Join us on a journey through the concrete jungles and rising skylines, where every beam, every nail tells a story.
Naivas saves you money.
Yes, very interesting conversations right here on Morning Cafe on TV47 with me, Fred Ndimuli. We are still in studio with Susan Wanjiru, Victor Odhiambo, and Joe Kalende, political commentators of note, looking at the youth perspective on state of the nation. And we're focusing today on the issue of succession and involvement of young Kenyans in politics. According to the Standard, they've classified Natembeya as a young leader. And we may not necessarily call him youth, but relatively young.
He's relative.
And he's part of the succession debate because whatever he's doing is not saying what he's doing. He's conducting what they call the tie-away revolution. He has definitely managed, and we're discussing this, to turn the nation's eyes onto Trans Nzoia and the Western Kenya politics. He's definitely turning heads and causing ripples politically. And one wonders, is he getting it right? Victor, do you think that this is a kind of politics that Kenyans or younger Kenyans should aspire to? The fact that he's not waiting for it to be given to him. He's coming out and going for it.
Does he really have to wait for it to be given to him?
We've just been having a discussion about younger Kenyans just sitting back and waiting for it to be handed to them.
But you know, Natembeya is really good. He's not young and he's not old. He's in between. And he's really, relatively young. He's relatively young, and he's not waiting for anything to be given to him. He's challenging the status quo. There are leaders who've been there before who feel like you're going way too fast. Inafaa punguza mwendo kidogo. And whenever a leader like Natembeya going out and doing his thing, most people think that he's eyeing a certain seat, probably a bigger seat. And so there are people a little bit shaken. The other leaders from Western, the Wetangulans and the Mudavadis and the Kalwales and the rest, they feel a little bit shaken because this is fairly new person into this space, especially in politics, because it was the RC for Rift Valley. So people knew him as a disciplinarian and someone who could make systems work in that area. But now he's come to governance, he's also making things work. So people are a little bit worried. People are looking at him from different angles. Let's see. Let's give him a chance and a space and let's see what's happened. If he manages to unite the Western region, where is the problem? Mm-hmm. I mean, where is the problem? Okay. There is no problem in him uniting the Western region. So let's give him an opportunity to see where he'll go with it, yeah.
And Susan, are you excited to see that someone who's not at the center in Nairobi exciting Kenya the way Natembeya is doing from that region, a remote county in between Western and Rift Valley, and he's actually making headlines every single day. We're used to having leaders in Nairobi hogging all the headlines. Do you feel excited when you read about the Tawe revolution?
Yeah, of course it's exciting. And being that he's not somebody we've had for a very long time, so we tend to feel that there's something he's bringing, or rather there's something why he's making all the noise. Maybe he has something to give to Kenyans. So it's just for us to wait and see what he really, or whatever he's trying to say. So my question would be, the kind of noise he's bringing on the political space, is he really doing something for the people of Trans Nzoia? Like we've had issues with the maize, we know the fertilizer, we get a lot of maize from there. So we tend to ask, is he able to protect the farmers at the end of the day, as much as he's making the noise, trying to come out so strongly? He's coming out so strongly. What are the bases? What is he bringing on the table? So I tend to just watch more and see
cautiously.
Yeah, what is really bringing on the table.
Yes, Joy, we talked about using the space you've been given, and we've seen other governors who are very big or very vocal, especially when they were at the national level here in Nairobi, disappear into the oblivion once you get a governor's job at the county. Case in point, James Orengo. How much of him do we get to hear nowadays? Even Professor Anyang' Nyong'o, they were very vocal while they were senators or MPs here in Nairobi. Once you go to the counties, that's it. But we're seeing a relatively young leader becoming a governor in a remote county that many people cannot even point out for you on the map right now, and he's causing ripples. He's definitely using the space he's been given, correct?
Yes. As a young person from the Western region, what I can say about Natembeya and the Tawe revolution is that they're doing God's work. And as a young person, where I see it, I pray for Natembeya to finish the God's work. Yes.
Now, what is this God's work?
He's doing the God's work. And I'm praying for him to finish the God's work.
That's what
That's what I can say.
Okay. You say it's the Lord's work.
It's the Lord's work.
So
and I'm praying for him.
That cannot be described any
The young
further.
people should put Natembeya in prayers that he finishes the God's work.
That shall not be described any further. Back to the elections of UDA and ODM, because we've seen, and we all in agreement that it is an important space to be in. That is where the conversations are happening. These are the two biggest parliamentary political parties that we have. Before that, the other parties that we've seen that had that kind of muscle were Jubilee, probably, that fizzled out, probably because of poor succession politics. We've seen even the Democratic Party just fizzle out. Parties like PNU, which were ruling parties, fizzle out. Even KANU itself fizzled out. And one may wonder, the failure of younger people to get into politics of parties could actually see UDA and ODM fizzle out as well. It is important for Kenyans to understand the importance of political parties. It is the only way that you can be involved in this national agitation. But we also agree that younger Kenyans are just having their own conversations within social media and not getting into this space. What is this that will remove or actually transition these young people into this space and have them get involved in the grassroots elections? Victor?
It's a very funny question, no? And I'll repeat this again, and I want to repeat it for the record, that there is nothing that is going to remove younger people from their platforms that they're using to articulate their issues. There is nothing that is going to remove us from there. We are going to use the same platform we are using to articulate our issues, but those platforms are not stopping us from also going to the ground and having a conversation with the people. Those platforms we're only using to reach as many people as possible, you know, because internet being a global village whereby you can actually reach people from different areas, different locations, doesn't really matter where they are. We will not move from there. So I think we just need to organize ourselves. We just need to come to the table, have a conversation among ourselves that we are going to use whatever platform that we have to do whatever we want to do.
And probably the conversation should be, can they still use the same channels and these conversations they have on social media and bring that kind of channel and plug into political party politics?
Political parties politics is a bit different, unless you come up with your own vehicle. Because if you're going to use the ODMs and the Jubilees and the UDAs, I mean, we have to follow the tradition. That is what it is. Unless you also change the leadership of those parties, because at the moment you look at a party like ODM, we are trying to look at who is best to take over from Raila Odinga, Raila Odinga Baba, who is going to take over for me. Probably if you get a different leader who is young at heart, maybe we are going to change the conversation and things are going to be different. Yes.
So it is still not time for younger Kenyans to get involved into party politics. Do you agree with that?
No, it's time. There's nothing that there's no time. There's time. There's always time.
Okay.
Yes.
Why the reluctance? Why the skepticism? Why the complacency in actually getting your hands dirty and being part of these parties that are already there, established? Why the reluctance?
From the young people. Like we've said, Fred, Joe has highlighted something very critical about the generation that we are trying to get to come and do. They want things that are working for them. No violence, no nothing. I want to sit down. Like there's a time we had a Kenyan in Meru who shaken, or rather who was really against Trump. From where he was, he would, and then they would say, let us ban White House.
I remember.
From Meru here.
Yes, yes. From Meru. You remember? So those are the people we have. It's very rare for them to come out and do these things.
Right now you look at Twitter and the discussions are about what's happening in Israel and Gaza. And yes, American politics and all this, but when it comes to Kenyan politics, that's where they draw the line. I'm failing to understand why the disconnect there.
Yeah, you see, I still maintain that we can only change if we come out and go do the actual thing. Are we supposed to vote? We go vote. Are we supposed to go out and campaign and say it is time? That's when we can only change.
Is there a feeling that this generation of younger Kenyans, especially Gen Z, that they're way above the level of politics that is played in Kenya?
The challenge that we have today, look at our history. If you are to talk about the YK92, it was the young people organized around the then President Moi who moved across the country and forced Moi to be re-elected. Look at the young Turks on the other side.
One of them from YK92 is the president.
Yes. Look at it from this other side. The young Turks, the Orengos, the Kiraitus, Raila Odinga. So from our history, we have learned that young people are always involved in our politics. Now, today, the young people are involved in the politics because we have relatively young people. In fact, young people, according to the UN description of a youth, below 35, we have them who are elected leaders. So what we need to do as young leaders who already occupy that space, we need to go and have a conversation with the youth, with the young people who they have an area where they will converse among themselves. It is in TikTok, it is in Twitter, it is on Facebook and Instagram. That's where they are conversing. The older generation, how they manage to get the young people directly involved in politics because
but the question is,
university,
they're conversing there. But what conversations are they having? That's the question.
What you're saying is that we are not ready.
No, we are ready.
Do you know why? Why I'm saying that? You are saying we are not ready because the politics of the day is not all about being on Twitter and Facebook and the rest. We can actually have that conversation and try to articulate issues as young people. But on the ground, all people are going on the ground and they're getting votes, and we are not getting those votes. So if you say that, of course we are going to go to the ground. That is what the Celestials are doing. They're on the ground, on TikTok and everywhere. But when it comes to real voting now, we cannot vote on Twitter unless we change the narrative and get to the ground and try to see how we are going to get these young people to go out and articulate their issues now voting. Knowledge is power. Not only knowledge that is, it's applied knowledge that is power. And we need to apply that knowledge.
Victor, let me tell you this. You know, by saying that we need to go where the youths are, do you know that there's a conversation already in this country of forming an internet political party? There's a conversation ongoing. There's a conversation ongoing of expanding our electoral system to also vote online.
On what frameworks? On what frameworks?
So those are the conversations.
Probably that is what people should be advocating for.
I'm saying the young people are ready. But the Gen Z have a place where they converse among themselves. Because if you go to TikTok today, if you want to find raw politics, 101 politics, the group that was in the group that used to be in Jivanji nowadays have migrated to Jacaranda. They normally converse real politics from that TikTok platform. So it can tell you, and when you see those videos, you can see them highlighting real issues that affect.
So they do understand the conversations.
Even if you go to our Twitter today, we normally say that they are bloggers, they are being paid, but they are young people and they are writing real issues. Even if they have been paid to push a hashtag, but if you go through the thread, you will realize they are discussing real content. Because how do you get the feedback from the ground?
Okay.
Look for the Facebook account of the president, of the opposition leader Raila Odinga. Go to their social page. You will find real feedback from young people. Now, what we need to do is to find a way of how to channel and occupy that space as leaders.
You do not necessarily need to leave. Yes. So the youth do not necessarily need to leave that space where they have a conversation.
Then there's something that Susan has highlighted. At the end of the day, we must tell young people is that a hashtag will not vote on the day of voting. A post will not vote. You must have a voting card and go.
It's not enough to rant on social media. Yes, Susan?
You see, from our comments, from what we are posting, we really know what we want. We know the kind of leaders we want. And I came to realize we have a problem as young people in this country during Peter Kenneth, when he was campaigning. He was really doing well on social media.
Yes.
You see, he was ahead. But when it came to the real thing, what happened? He was nowhere to be seen. So I still maintain my point that we really need to go out there.
So the internet political party will not be a solution?
It will not be a solution because we also have the senior citizens. Where will they vote from?
Yes.
You know? You see, after I vied and when I finished the whole thing, I was like, not everyone should vote in this country. I tend to think that.
Some people should be denied that right.
Should be denied that chance
so
because
that you get the real thing. Like
yeah, because the real people who are, and I tend to think this housing levy will get some people who always making noise on social media come out and start now voting because it's touching on them. Because the conversation is ananisaidia na nini. Me, if I get my 100,000 on my account, it's not being touched. Yeah, nitakatwa 20,000 as taxes, the normal taxes. But now they're being touched. They're feeling the pinch. I tend to think now, actually, what William Ruto has done, we might see.
He might force the youth to come out.
To come out and vote. So, unless we come out as young people and do what is necessary, noise will not help us. Because we make noise, we are hired during campaigns, we come out, I have all the oranges on my body, I do all the funny things, but maybe I don't even have a voting card.
Yes.
And you see, politicians have mastered the art about the young people. They know we don't vote. They don't even waste time with us. They will come, young people, hey, we are the ones making noise. We are the ones, because my mother won't come out and go to William Ruto's meeting. It is me who will go out there. Say, tumetenga, we have this, and we are just shouting and saying, yeah.
But you would vote.
But during
But do you think the
actual...
Kenyan youth, the young Kenyans understand their failure when it comes to elections? Do they recognize, do they realize?
They don't know because their focus is on other things. Nitoke ile mkutano nipewe thawe yangu.
Maybe we don't know, maybe on from a different perspective, maybe hatujui rights zetu. Because voting is a right. But maybe hatujui rights. Tunajua rights zetu sasa.
This is among the most well-informed generations.
Fred, I traded a lot.
When you've been arrested. You know your rights because you're dealing with hapo ndo mali mtu anajuanga I know.
Lakini kupiga kura si.
Hiyo kupiga kura hujui kama ni right yako.
Let me do this. Let me give you each 2 minutes to make your final remarks so you can put everything in one. Let's start with you, Susan.
Yeah, so, okay, as much as we are having issues with leadership in young people, I would encourage people to vote for more young people. And I challenge the people who are already on leadership to really look at what is ailing our young people. And especially when I look at the strike for the doctors, mostly they are young people.
You're talking about interns?
Yes, they are interns, they're the ones coming up. So I think we really need to, as young people, to really know what we want. If we mean what we are saying, let's come out and vote. Let's come out and participate. Let us show these senior politicians or senior leaders that indeed we are ready.
Okay.
Yes.
Joe?
My parting shot is a quote from Professor Yuval Noah, is that if the future of humanity will be decided in your absence because you are too busy feeding your children, you and they will not be exempted from the consequences. Yes.
Okay. And finally, Victor.
Thank you, Fred, and thank you, my colleagues. It was a good conversation. I would like to say this, and I'm very sorry as a country, and I feel what every young person is facing today. The doctor strike is really affecting our mothers, is affecting our children. There are children with disabilities who at any particular moment rely on these doctors. Kenyans have come to a situation whereby we don't even know who is a doctor. There's a clinical officer, there's a nurse. Our mothers are walking to hospitals and they do not know who is a doctor. They're being treated by everybody at the moment. The private sector is expensive, we can't afford it. We have got, at the moment, we have 3,759 interns who are not part of the KMPDU and they want to be on the CBA. They cannot be on the CBA, that cannot happen. The government is not going to allow that. The government is not going to listen to doctors until we come to a table and have a conversation with them. Doctors are being offered, interns are being offered right now 70,000 Kenyan shillings, between 50 to 70,000 Kenyan shillings. They have said they're not going to take that until the CBA is implemented. We have countries like Nigeria who paid their interns around 40,000. We have South Africa paying 208,000. We have Uganda paying 6,000 Kenyan shillings. So there's a variety, and we also have to look at the country. For us to maintain these interns cost around 4.8 billion Kenyan shillings in a year from the Ministry of Health. The Ministry of Health and the government, national government, provide actually like 85% of all the funds, and the county government 15%. But we're looking at the county government to be the employer of doctors currently in the country. Let us sit down with these people. Let us have a conversation between the government and the doctors, and let us come to a realization that Kenyans are ailing, Kenyans are hurting, Kenyans are sick, and Kenyans need to be given the priority because we pay taxes.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you for that. But a quick question that I've just remembered now that one of the young leaders from Team Ground has proposed the impeachment of the CS for Health, Susan Homich. And I wonder, from your perspective, is it something you support? Do you support the proposal to impeach the CS?
I don't support the proposal to impeach the CS because when CS was given an opportunity, I didn't see any Kenyans coming out boldly to say that she's not qualified to run that docket. Let her run a docket. Let us have people advise her. She's done well. Apart from this doctors' issues that we're having today, she's done well. She's been moving around the country, having clinics and all those others. She's trying her best to do what is expected. But there's a tradition. There's a problem in the country. This is not the first time. We had a 2017, we had a strike. The CBA was not implemented. Several years later, let us come to the table and talk to Kenyans. talk to the taxpayer the language that they understand, and we'll be able to move this country forward.
Susan, do you support the proposal?
No. I cannot support such because, number one, I champion women leadership. And I would say health sector it's not the only sector that is facing challenges. We have agriculture, and I am not feeling the noise as much. So I would say let us give her some time. And I know she's cooking something for the doctors. And also I would really want to hear an opinion from our president. He's so quiet on the issue.
Okay.
Yeah.
Finally, your word on that?
On the issue of doctor strike is that...
on the proposal
on
to
the proposal
to
and
impeach.
the whole conversation is that strike is not a unique phenomenon in this country and the whole world. And it is a way how workers or labor movement have agitated for their issues. And within our constitution, it is a constitutional right for workers to picket, to demonstrate, to strike. It is within their right to do whatever they are doing to agitate. If you look at the world history, the longest labor movement strike took 11 years, from 1954 to 1961. What is unique in this thing is this, that the government of the day was elected on the platform of kazi ni kazi. Susan Nakhumicha must understand and must know that the government of today that he serves in was elected on the platform of kazi ni kazi. Respect to workers.
Okay.
That's what the
Do you support
must
the
understand.
proposal to impeach her?
Not support the proposal, I support the conversation of the rights of workers in this country.
But on the proposal to impeach her, yes or no?
Not on the proposal of
That's a question.
yes or no, but on the conversation of the young people.
You're not committal on this. No, you're not. We'll leave it there. Joe Halende, advocate of the High Court, political strategist, Susan Wanjiru, political analyst, and Victor Odhiambo, a governance expert. Our panelists this morning as we look at the youth perspective on the state of the nation. Thank you so much for your time on TV47. Now, today our attention is drawn to a matter of great concern to many patriots: the safety and security of individuals who dedicate their lives to defending public interest and upholding the rule of law. One such individual is Senator Okiya Omtata of Busia, who stands as a beacon of courage and integrity, fearlessly challenging any entity that oversteps its constitutional bounds. His relentless pursuit of justice has undoubtedly shaped the legal landscape of this nation, setting precedents that safeguard the rights and freedoms of its citizens. It is therefore deeply concerning to hear reports of attacks on Omtata and his family, especially considering his pivotal role in defending the principles upon which our society is founded. Whether these assaults are perceived as random criminal acts or targeted attempts to silence his advocacy, they cannot be dismissed lightly. If a sitting senator, entrusted with representing the people at the highest level of government, cannot feel secure in his own home, what message does that send to the ordinary mwananchi? If indeed these attacks are linked to Omtata's tireless defense of the public good, then they represent a despicable betrayal of someone who has already sacrificed so much for the betterment of this country. We demand that the authorities take swift and decisive action to investigate these incidents and ensure that those responsible are held accountable. We further call upon the security agencies to prioritize Omtata's safety and well-being and demand assurances from the Police Inspector General and the Cabinet Secretary for Interior and Administration of National Government that every measure will be taken to safeguard his security. Individuals like Okiya Omtata are the unsung heroes of our society, and if anyone feels slighted by what he does, then they should seek redress in the courts of law, just like Omtata does so diligently. And that is our editorial comment this morning.
We Lead is an innovative and far-reaching program that aims to strengthen the influence and position of young women whose sexual and reproductive health and rights are neglected.
Na safari hii katika Mfahamu Kiongozi tutakuletea viongozi aina mbalimbali.
Nikuwe na nisani kama 10 na pia nikuwe menua minibus. Minibus nikoniwa.
Kushinda unaangalia simu ya mzee, soma Biblia ama ingia kwa washroom ujisugue mpaka nimetoa hii.
I don't know whether any of my children would want to get into the political field. Sijajua bado.
Kila Alhamisi saa 1:30 kuendelea.
Join us on a journey through the concrete jungles and rising skylines, where every beam, every nail tells a story of progress and vision.
In every aspect of life, you know, you have to look at several dynamics.
From groundbreaking
nowadays with the tech, you can check